today is really to give you guys the high level of things, and how it's going to work is that I'm really going to tell you guys what my own experience has been like with client engagement and sales. And then Derick will talk to you guys a bit more on like the tactical level of stuff that he's been able to do, and stuff that he's seen work, so that you guys start to get a really comprehensive understanding of what client engagement is. So what is client engagement? So client engagement really at the end of the day is going out and talking to your customers, talking to your users, talking to your stakeholders. Really it comes down to talking to people that you want to have interest in your idea or in your product or your project or whatever. So really what it is, you know, having an intention of why you want to talk to people and actually going out and talking to them so that you can produce whatever the result that you want to produce is. So in some cases, you know, if a company has a product to sell, then they're going to have salespeople go out and talk to customers to try to sell that product. But if it's more of like a software development team and they're going into client engagement, they may be going for product research. So they want to go and talk with the users or talk with their clients and understand them on a deeper level of what they think about their product and what they like and don't like, etc. So again, right, like the principle of client engagement is going out and talking to people for a specific purpose. And just to tell you guys a bit about my own journey, in client engagement. When I was in high school, I was a pretty quiet and shy kid. I wasn't, you know, a very like outspoken person in the beginning, where I was, you know, I would talk loud, and was able to tell compelling stories. But I knew that, you know, for me, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I know that there's several of you in this call right now who want to be entrepreneurs too, which is super awesome. And you know, by just having that internal drive, I knew that I would have to break out of my own shell of being shy and insecure about myself. And this is when I was like 15, 16 years old. And then I started to learn, you know, a bit. I had to discover why I wanted to do that, right? And that's a big part, you know, that ties into client engagement, is understanding why you need to talk to people. So for me, you know, I got to understand my own family's history of entrepreneurship. You know, I'm not going to go in depth about it, but, you know, my family has been entrepreneurs for several generations, since my great grandfather in the auto industry. And they used to be salespeople, and just acknowledging, you know, that my great grandfather, my grandfather, my dad and my uncles and my brother, they're all salespeople. It just seemed really right for me. So I got super motivated to want to understand sales and marketing and engaging clients. And then I became committed. And really that's the key to it. If you want to become a master at client engagement, or even get good at client engagement, is being committed to learn how to do it. Because if you're not committed, if you're kind of wishy-washy about it, you're not going to get the best results that you can pull out of you, and the results that you want to see. So that's definitely the first step, is that you be committed to learning this, because it's a big skill that a lot of people nowadays are lacking, because we're attached to our phones and we get, you know, so much dopamine from things that don't really matter, when having a conversation with another person is, at the end of the day, just really rewarding, especially if you're selling something, or if you're looking to get, you know, product feedback or anything really. So what I'm going to do now, I don't have too much time to talk about it, because I'm going to pass it over to Derick in a minute. But I just wanted to share with you guys some of my biggest lessons of client engagement. Of, you know, when I first started out to talking to mentors on sales and public speaking, and actually talking to teachers and employers and students myself. And, you know, these are the big things that I've learned. So the first one, I learned this from my mentor, Jason Capital. He's a super cool guy. He does a lot of social media marketing, and there's really, you know, 3 key things that come into client engagement and looking, you know, on a professional reason or on a professional purpose to talk to people. And the 3 big skill sets are speaking, copy, and closing. And I'll explain those to you guys right now. So what speaking is, I mean, you all should know what speaking is. It's your ability to communicate to people. It's your ability to verbalize words, and get them across to someone in a way that's compelling, and that gets them to understand what you're actually saying. So I don't need to do a lesson on speaking right now. We just did that in the last presentation. But the second, big skill is copy. And for a lot of you guys who don't know, I suggest looking up what is copy to learn more. But essentially what copy is words that sell, or words that inspire some action to be taken. And this can be written through emails, it can be written in Instagram posts. If you ever see, Nike slogan, just do it, that's copy. It's written by people called copywriters who actually write the words for advertising. And it's really crazy. I mean, just do it. It's like, hey, I'm thinking about go buy some Nike shoes. What should I do? Just do it. And it's like, okay, I'll go buy $70 shoes. It's words that get you to take some sort of action. And then the third one is closing. And that's, a really big skill set that takes a while to learn. But really what closing is being able to seal the deal, to get a contract signed, to get, a client to say, okay, we're working together. And really, to establish some sort of partnership with someone. So these are the three big skill sets. And I'm more than happy to talk more in depth about, what I've learned over the last couple of years studying these three with you guys. But, what comes down to at a higher level, aside from the actual skills, is your own personal state. And and talking about state control. So what your state is, really what your state is your mood and how you're feeling at any given time. And, when we talk about, when I first started learning about state, I was really like, not so sure about it, because I was like, okay, it's how I feel and my mood. But as time went on, as I got to understand things a bit more about my state, I realized how important your own individual state is. Because if I'm not feeling good and I'm all tired, then I'm kind of talking like this, and it's hard for me to actually verbalize things because I'm not feeling too good. I'm feeling, I don't know. But when I'm open and I'm feeling, really great about myself, it impacts it impacts my own feelings. And this comes back down to you guys about your own state, because whenever you're going out to talk to people with any sort of intention, you want to make sure that you're just feeling good about yourself. Because that's what your state is. It's how you're feeling, and the way that you're feeling impacts how certain that you feel that you can do a good job at something, and how certain that you feel about yourself. And by being certain, you then believe now, like, okay, I know I can do this, and I can go out and do this. And then you take actions, and your actions are based off of your own beliefs, because you feel, because you feel like you can do it, and it all comes down to your state. So you take the action that you need to take, and then you get the results that you want to get because you felt good. And sorry, I get super worked up because I really just love talking about your state. But yeah, when you're feeling good, you can really do things that you can't do when you're feeling bad. Does that make sense? It's a pretty simple concept, but there's depth to it. The way that you're feeling really impacts how you're going to go out and do something. And the way that this ties back into actual client engagement, based off of how I learned, is that when you feel good about yourself, when you feel like, hey, I'm going to go talk to this adult right now about my project, and I think I can actually get them to invest, into my idea, then you're going to be way more better at client engagement than saying, I've never done this before. I don't think I can really do it. I'm being told to do it, so I'm going to try it, and if it doesn't work out, what can I say, right? So there's two different perspectives there, and you have the opportunity to choose, which one it comes down to, and it all comes down to your state and how you decide to feel about going out and doing it. Because at the end of the day, you are how you think and how you feel, right? So if you think that you can do it and you feel that you can do it, you're going to go out and do it. But if you think you can't do it and you feel like you can't do it, then you're not going to do it. And whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, either way, you're right, because it's how you're setting up your mind to think. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to go too in depth about it anymore. I'm going to pass it to Derick so he can really talk about client engagement and more of the tactics of what he's done and how it actually works. But if you guys are interested more to talk about, your state and how that impacts how you're doing client engagement, or really how it's impacting your own life, feel free to PM me on Discord. And I would love to talk to you guys more about it. But yeah, other than that, I'll go ahead and pass it to you, Derick.
When did I start selling? I started selling in 7th grade when I got a hold of stuff in my house and discovered what eBay was. And then I discovered what PayPal was because it just got invented at that time. And I started selling stuff in my house on eBay. Random stuff. I started selling like VCRs and like DVD players and stuff like that. It was kind of interesting. I don't think my mom and dad were too happy about that. But that was the start of my selling career, if you will. And I didn't know what that meant. I just meant that I just discovered that I wanted some money when I was little, and I wanted to buy, unfortunately, airsoft guns with it. And so I decided to try to make some money and buy some airsoft guns. And then I started realizing that I kind of, I actually like selling. I like convincing people. I like persuading people. I like doing things that make people get some level of value. And I sold shoes before. I designed my own shoes. I sold it. I bought shoes because I worked at Mainland Skate Surf Shop and resold those shoes because Nike SBs were pretty hot at that time. Some Supras and some other stuff, even some Jordans, I think. And then I started selling club events with my cousin. We started hosting club events and selling birthday tables when I was 21, and just like basically selling, events. And then I started selling clothing because I started a clothing brand called Myth. And that was a lot of fun because that was an expression of my own intent and my own purpose. Then I started selling shipping containers because I studied architecture at Cal Poly, and we made a community kitchen for food deserts out of shipping containers. And I started selling shipping container architecture. Didn't sell anything technically there, but I tried to sell. Then I started selling experiences and things around education, like mobile fabrication laboratory experiences with students in it and stuff. Then I started selling maker spaces to schools and setting up 3D printers and labs for schools to actually develop maker spaces. Then I started developing programs and selling programs, which is what you guys are in today. So programs for education, workforce development, and connecting the two. And then eventually software. So we're building software now. Now we're selling software. So it's an evolution of what you sell. And in between all that stuff, I sold like things I laser cut, when I was like 20 years old, and sold necklaces of, like Golden State Warrior necklaces and stuff. And my friend John Grego and I actually still goofed off. Like last week, we were reminiscing how I think the New York Knicks called us like, hey, you can't be infringing on our logo. And they talked to someone over like 20 years old, and we got in trouble for making illegal Knicks necklaces. Anyways, that's my little journey on selling. And so what I'm talking to you today is just about essentially testing, piloting, and selling. So what you're looking for as an intern, fellow, and entrepreneur is really for testers, and then people to pilot your project with, so potential customers, and also selling. So tell the story of why. That's the first thing that I want to share with you is that come from a place of why. Come from a place of why did you build your project? Why did you create your solution? I don't know why there's like a red box in front of mine or like a yellow line, but someone's drawing on my presentation. Anyways, so tell the story of why you created your project, why you decided to pick your solution, and create a story out of that and tell people that story, because people want to hear it and people want to understand why you're doing things, because then there's no other questions beyond that, right? Then they want to help. Tailor the conversation to why they would care, right? So why you care, because you know why, because you just told that story. And then tailor the conversation to them and why they may care about that solution. Maybe they're the same person as you, right? Maybe they're the same type of person as you. Maybe you're a city government person and they're a city government person, and they want to know more about how you actually want to, how they want to think about your own solution. So tailor the conversation to why they would care. Highlight the primary value and benefits of your solution. So in your actual conversation with them, like be sure to slip in why it's beneficial for them to actually potentially use your idea, and understand what your value is as well. That's quite important as well. So discover what your true unique value is and the true benefits, and persuade them that that is something that they want. Include transparency at no additional cost. So the whole point is people kind of want to know, especially when you're developing something new that isn't out in the market. People want to know the details. People want to know what's going on behind the scenes. People want to know, what problems you're having too. Not just all the great things about your idea. Tell them actually the problems and the struggles and the issues of why you need their help, right? And don't try to think everything's all rosy, because they will call bullcrap, very quickly if you don't share the details of why. Your idea is not the best. Accept it, okay? Accept that your idea and project is not really the best. And be transparent about it. And then take humility and share that with them, right? Share that with them, the details, because guess what? They're going to want to help you anyways because you're a student, right? So I always tell people, use your puppy dog eyes, right? Use your young personality, use your young face, show them that do a little puppy dog eye effect, I call it, and be transparent with what you want them to do and why you want to do it and what you're struggling with. And then close by scoping your test, pilot, or sale. So what I mean by scoping, okay, is you're going to get to the end of the conversation, to the end of the meeting, end of whatever discussion you have, and you're going to have to close them. You're going to have to give a next step, right? And you want the next step to be a thing that you want, which is user testing with your prototype, or piloting your project, or selling them on your product, right? So if you can't get that as a hard thing, work with what they can do, right? Discover how much time they have next week. Maybe they can do for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, maybe as a start. Maybe you can, go out of your way and extend yourself and actually tell them that you can go to where they are at, or meet them where they're at in terms of time and energy, and make it easy for them, right? Make it easy for them to say yes. So what I mean by scoping is scope out your solution, scope out your offering, your test, your pilot, your sale, specifically to their timing, because not everyone has all the time in the world to help kids work on their projects. But show them that you actually are more than a kid, but you actually have a prototype, a pilot, an actual product that they may want to solve their problem. And build trust thereafter by delivering on that solution. So if you're an intern, fellow, and entrepreneur, you're essentially respectively looking for these three things. So if you have a prototype, you want to find testers, and you want them to test your idea, your prototype, and make it better, and then you iterate on it. If you are a fellow, then you want to get users and pilot your project and your prototype with those users to actually make them use it, and then you can learn from that, and then again, guess what? Iterate on it, right, and make it better. And then if you're an entrepreneur, you want to get your idea to a product level, and then eventually get as close as possible to an actual customer who actually wants your product. Now, we understand that it's going to be really tough to kind of, in 6 weeks, get to a customer, but you can do your best, and that will be the ultimate goal, correct? So this little matrix here basically is a matrix of if you're an intern, if you're a fellow, if you're an entrepreneur, and who you would really want to have in your kind of experience belt is you want testers if you're an intern, you want users if you're a fellow, and you want customers if you're an entrepreneur. Now, the only thing is that testers, you really want to get to a pilot level. Testing is great, but you really want to get to a pilot. So the stretch goal for you is getting a pilot project, okay? And if you're a fellow, you want to have users. And if you're an entrepreneur, you want a product. So I'm sure this screen here gives you a clear idea of who you need to go sell to actually be part of your solution. So what I want to share with you is I want you to take note of this screen here, rocketlawyer.com. Sign up for an account, log in, and then what you want to do is use these respective agreements potentially, and I'm saying potentially because you don't want to scare off your customer, right? Don't say, hey, I want you to sign an NDA, I want you to sign an MOU, I want you to sign a contract agreement. Don't do that, right? Build a relationship with them first, consult us first. But if you were to actually get serious with your actual prototype, your pilot, your product in the future, perhaps this summer, you may want to actually go to rocketlawyer.com, sign up, log in, open up a non-disclosure agreement, memorandum of understanding, MOU, or independent contract agreement to actually draft an agreement, a legal agreement that they would sign and you would sign to actually have a binding agreement of what you can work on together, okay? So again, go to rocketlawyer.com, sign up, log in, tinker with it, look up non-disclosure agreements for your prototype user testing stuff if you really feel like you need kind of like privacy or you have like intellectual property that you want to like preserve. And then if you're looking for like a pilot project, you may want to get something on writing just so that people can understand that you're serious, right? And so you want a memorandum of understanding, which really isn't a contract agreement. It's more of like a pre-agreement or pre-contract. So that's what an MOU is. And then an independent contract agreement is actually getting money for your services and your product. And that's where you really want to be, where everyone wants to be. So download or sign up for this and then tinker with Rocket Lawyer. And I'm sure Zach or myself or someone on our team will be able to actually go deeper into this as we go along in the summer. So, and just to let Kenneth and the team know, I'm going to go over a bit. So you're going to have to push the people back because I think this is an important workshop for everybody to understand and actually do. So I'm going to yield another 10 minutes for people to do this. So if you can let people know, that'd be great. So the engagement process, okay? So for the engagement process, I know there's a lot of words here, but let's go one by one, okay? So I'm going to go down all of it at once, and then we'll go into each one together. So you want to plan and finalize your proposal. And that's what you're working on right now, the pilot project proposal. You want to research contacts and record it. And number 3, you want to engage them and talk to them. Once you engage them, you want to follow up with them and reply to them if they're replying to you. And then continue to research and engage. And then you want to build a relationship with those people, okay, and convince them and negotiate for testing or piloting or contract. Then you want to set up that testing and pilot and delivery of the service, and you want to actually do the pilot and do the testing and deliver the service. Then you want to document and track and process the learnings and findings that you got. And then you want to iterate on your prototype, pilot, or project or product. And then you want to repeat, rinse, and recycle and keep doing until you get more and more and more and more and more and more and more testers, more and more and more and more and more and more users, and then more and more and more and more and more and more customers, right? So again, plan and finalize your proposal, research contacts for users, testers, and customers, depending if you're an intern, fellow, or entrepreneur, with the stretch goals, of course. Engage via LinkedIn or email, phone, or introductions. Follow up, reply, continue to research and engage, and build relationships and convince and negotiate with those people. Set up testing, the pilot or delivery of service. You want to document, track, and process the learnings and findings, and then iterate on your prototype pilot product and repeat, rinse, and recycle. Okay. So the whole point is talk to people, get them on board, deliver services and value, and keep doing it over and over again, and be relentless about it to keep going. So the next platform I want you to download or to sign up for is HubSpot.com. So note HubSpot.com. It's a customer relationship management system or contact relationship management system. And it's called a CRM. They call it a CRM. That's what Salesforce is. That's what HubSpot is. Salesforce is a CRM platform. I'm sure you heard of Salesforce. So what it is, it's contact management. It's contact relationship management. So sign up for an account. It's where you put all your customers on, their emails, their phone numbers, their name, their organization. You put your users on there, your testers on there too if you want. and also your potential customers, and put them all on this bottom right screen here, which is a flow chart or like a pipeline. Are they a prospect? Are they a lead? Did you request a meeting already? Did you get a meeting? Did you schedule it? Did you get an MOU signed? Did you deliver the service, right? So it's a contact and deal management system. Sign up for an account, open it up, make one for your team, get all your research contacts on there, put all the information on there, and then move people along so you feel gratified along the way and actually get to actually delivering your prototype, pilot, or product to the users, pilots, the users or customers. All right. Practice makes perfect. I want you to think about somebody you know who may want your project right now, who is closest to you. I don't care if it's your uncle who owns a business that you know. I don't care if it's your mom who owns a business that you know. I don't care if it's your friend who, because that's the best person you know. I don't care if it's some random person that you've been wanting to contact for a while. Think about who is the closest person to you that may or may not want your idea right now, and pull up their phone numbers and pitch them on your project right now. And then after, fill the form, bit.ly/PilotCity pitch, and tell us how it went. If they don't pick up, leave them a voicemail by pitching them. If the voicemail is full, leave a text teaser and ask them to call you back. And then when they call you back, pitch them on their project as if they're the customer and let them know that you want to pretend that they're your customer. So pick up your phone, dial somebody that's closest to you, let them know that you want them to be a mock tester, user, or customer, or if they really are a customer, tester, or user for your project. Pitch them on their project, and then tell us how it went in the next 10 minutes. Go. Great work. Great work. All it is, it's not about making it perfect. It's about practicing and having the courage to do it, because you're going to do it anyways. This is the determination of your success this summer, is stepping out of your boundaries, being courageous, and making things happen because you don't know whether you can do it or not. It's about stepping out of your boundaries of understanding. Meryl, great work. So what I'm going to do is have some of the first people tell us how it went. So Eric, how did you go? Eric, how'd it go?
Yeah, it went pretty well. I got to talk to one of my cousins who has some experience in product, and they said they'd love to become a product tester for me and give me some feedback.
That's it. So follow up on him or her, okay, and have him or her be a tester, okay?
Yeah.
And put them in the CRM in your system. Get their email, right? Send a scheduling count, get a calendar invite out for the next time if they agree to it, and so forth, okay?
Yeah.
Ariba, what about you? How'd it go for you?
For me, told my mom, she's in a meeting, but she still make it quick, and so I did it, and she's heard me say my pitch a lot of times, and she's like, oh yeah, this is the same one, right? And I was like, yeah. And so she thought it was nice, and she said that if she was an employer, she'd make a consideration. But I think she's saying that because she's my mom. But yeah, feedback.
Okay, good. Yeah, feedback's always good for your mom. Moms are pretty critical, right? So that works. But let's step out of the boundaries for the next one, okay? But good job for getting someone immediately and making it happen. Ishani, what about you?
Yeah, so I talked to my cousin, and she's going to enter her last year of college, and she said that she's close with many of her professors, and she's going into like the business field. So she said she'll for sure try to give me some advice on what her professors have said in the past.
All right, great job. All right, thank you so much. And Gotik, what about you?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So I talked to my dad. I just asked him to help me with the software side of things and just help me commercialize it. And he said, like, sure.
Great. All right. And last but not least for this round, and we'll move on to the next workshop, Lizbeth, I want to see how you pitched your Sony project.
So I called my dad because he's a manager in a company and it has a lot of office lights, and mine has to do with lights. And he didn't answer because I guess he was busy. So I just left a voicemail of my pitch, and he just sent me a text that he'll call me back when he has time. So.
All right. Good job. Thanks for doing that. So we're going to move on to the next bit now. Fill out the form. If you have not finished yet, fill out the form. And then we'll get kind of an understanding of where you're at. But these stories are really phenomenal. Thank you for mustering up the courage to make it happen. Now I want everyone who did pitch, and they pitched to someone who is within your family, to pitch someone that's not your family. They could be an uncle. They could be, not your immediate family, right? So pitch someone who is not your immediate family next, and then maybe your friend after that, and then your, people who you don't know at all. So that is it for the workshop. Thank you all for coming.